Of the Kim Jacobs Show. Listen, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. How are you, Karen?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your gifts and your talents with us as we provide more balance to the world, one household at a time. So many of you that watch this show, you know that we're looking to provide that missing piece of the puzzle that might be just missing in your household. We're providing you with solutions through people like Karen Rudolf that's here today to talk about Tranquil SOULutions, how we can have a holistic approach to wellness and be able to even have an understanding of some anti-inflammatory disorders and things that can really stir up some stress in our lives. So I'm excited to have you here with us today, Karen.
As am I. Thank you so much. As I said before, it's such an honor and a privilege. I love what you're about. And so for me, it's like playtime. Let's play.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know if y'all have heard, but there's like this big worldwide thing happening right now with Facebook. So we were trying to connect and share and tag and all of that. And we were like, I said, well, I'm getting a thing that's forcing me to kind of log in, get this 6-digit code or 8-digit code or whatever. And I was like, this is bizarre, right? And then I was just talking out loud to myself, which I do that often. And Karen was like, oh, I'm getting the same thing. And I'm like, oh, what? Then her virtual assistant, thank goodness, thank God for virtual assistants. The virtual assistant said what, Karen?
She said it's worldwide. It's down worldwide.
So I say that to say, listen, when you're seeing this, whatever day you're seeing this, go ahead and make sure that you share it with your friends, tag them, invite them to be able to benefit from the information that's being shared today, okay? And so we're really glad to have all of you tuned in today, and you can definitely put your comments over in the comment section, and I will make sure I pop them up. But Karen Rudolf is a super stress reducer. That is a great label. A super stress reducer, a 4-time international best-selling collaborative author, and a renowned speaker, podcaster, and workshop facilitator who's dedicated to elevating lives and nurturing personal and professional growth. I'm not going to read every piece of the bio because she's going to tell some of her story on today's episode, but her expertise lies in transforming personal and professional lives through effective communication strategies, self-leadership tactics, and a quote unquote, holistic approach as a cornerstone of well-being. So again, we have Karen Rudolf here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So Karen, okay. I would like for you, because people that are like passionate about this type of lifestyle, it came from somewhere. So I would love for you to kind of take us back and say when that moment happened for you that you knew I am all about holistic life. Take us back, if you will.
Oh, man. It actually started years ago. And, you know, you get these nudges, I call them God bumps and whatever that comes to you, but they're nudges that it's a knowing. So stepping back in time, we grew up in a space where kids were to be seen, not heard. And fast forward, I brought that into my nursing career. And I would say to the doctors, like, you're discharging this patient and you haven't gotten to the root cause. Like, and they would like, just shut up and do your job. And, and I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right. So then it hit my home. It hit my home. Right around the time I was getting divorced, my hair was coming out in clumps. My adrenals were shot because I was so stressed out. My hairdresser said, and my hair is like really thick. I have a mane. And my hairdresser said, Karen, it's time you check it out. I'm really concerned.
Mhm.
And right around the same time, I'm getting those those bumps again. Right around that time, my mother was out of communication. And I dropped everything and went to go literally scrape her off the floor. She had a very low self-esteem, low self-worth.
Mm.
And I said, not on my watch. The buck stops here. And my horse, my second horse,
Mm.
got struck by lightning at the same time. So it was just like all of this stuff happened.
Who got struck by lightning?
My horse. I have two horses that got struck by lightning.
Ooh.
So my logo's a whole nother story around that. It's all about integrity. But before I even touch on that, my horse got struck by lightning, and my spiritual mentor said to me, Karen, when are you going to look up the spiritual meaning of lightning strike? And being an intuitive, I already knew it. And I said, I don't have to do that, and I'm not ready for it. And I just sort of like cowered, and she laughed and she said, okay, when you're ready. And I went, all right. So when you look up the spiritual meaning of lightning strike, and like I said, it happened twice, not once,
Uh-huh.
which is a very rare. It's right. It's all about being a light in the world. It's being a light bearer. And when I
Being a
say
light in the world, you say?
now a light bearer in the world,
See, before you go on, says I'm totally not
sorry.
in tune with these kind of things at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I know we all believe different things, and that's the beautiful part of us making up this world and this
Absolutely.
universe. And so, from your perspective, when the
Mhm,
lightning struck on
mhm,
your horse, then it meant something to you, which is you being a light bearer in this world,
a messenger.
a
It's what I
messenger. Okay. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, in that moment, my vet told me to put him down, he would never survive, and I closed my eyes, I got still, and I just listened to within, and he said, "Nope," and I opened my eyes, like, very quickly, and it was like, "Nope," and I'm looking inches from my vet's face, and I went, "No, he and I are gonna be catalysts for change."
Mhm.
And within this as a time period, my mom was on the floor. So not only had I just declared the declared word, because words create reality, I declared that I was going to be this messenger, a catalyst for change. My mother was on the floor, and I said, "Nope, buck stops here, not on my watch." And I've been going through the holistic conversations ever since. And it's really changing and shifting our patterning and the stories we tell ourselves. We're not enough, we're not loved, we're not heard, so on and so forth. And it wasn't until this past not this January, January 2023, I was in Costa Rica, and I was riding horses on the beach, one of the things I love doing. And the horse spooked, had sore feet, spooked. I went flying up in the 6 feet up in the air, landed on my butt.
Oh
Not the
my
most graceful moment in time, but I fractured my pelvis. I broke my left hip, and I dislocated my back. And as I
Oh my
was
goodness.
sitting there in a foreign country, not speaking the language, you have a lot of time to reflect. And
Yes.
I remember looking out the window, and to me, my perception, like everything is perception, everything is
Mhm.
energy, everything is perception. So when I'm looking out the window, I saw what to me was a mountain, and of course in Costa Rica, it's volcanoes. But I remember looking at it, and I'm saying sitting there praying, and I'm like, "God, how am I gonna get out of this mess?
Hmm.
How am I gonna
Yeah,
get out of
because you're
this?"
there, you don't speak the language, you're stuck in Costa Rica having to heal and recover, and you
Exactly.
don't even have a translator or anybody there helping you. So you're in this foreign country
Alone,
alone
alone.
trying to recover. Okay.
Yep.
So that is a whole experience in itself. So how
Yep.
did you get through that
Well,
situation?
I had major surgery, and I was so blessed to have a surgeon who was absolutely amazing, and he spoke English. So I
Mm.
look forward to our daily visits, and I would talk to him. But as I said, I reflected a lot, and I remember thinking as I'm looking out the window, it came to me the faith of a mustard seed. And as I was sitting there wiggling my one toe that can move because nothing else can move, and
Right.
they were not, the prognosis wasn't great. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to get up that mountain one little toe at a time. What will that look like? And then I started reflecting on all the tools that I've acquired over the years that I do for everybody else for a living. And I
Right.
was like, now it's time to heal me.
Mm.
And I went within and I started getting in action immediately. I've been trained in leadership. I've been trained in team building. I've been trained in communication. So I started creating a team.
Mm.
And I immediately said to my team, I'm focusing on healing right now. Me getting out of here effectively, safely, most importantly, how am I going to get home? And they all went to work, and I focused on constantly telling myself and demanding and commanding my body was going to heal.
That's good. So you feel like you kind of spoke it into existence
Absolutely.
within so that it can start to really manifest itself out on an exterior basis. So see
Absolutely.
what you're saying is interesting because you're saying you command it in different things. So like in my words, it's declare and decreeing it, right? So
Exactly. Same
we're really very similar, believe it or not, right? So I declare and
Exactly.
decree a thing, and I
Yes.
believe that if God said that it's possible, then I can make it a reality right here on this earth. I don't have to wait until I get to heaven or anything because he said that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it's like, we're very similar in
Absolutely.
our thought process, but it's
Absolutely.
just different, slightly different wording. So
That's what,
you commanded healing
well,
into your body.
declared, right? In the beginning was the word. It was
Right.
declared, right? So that's, it's all written. So I declared it and I kept telling myself over and over again because we have a choice. I
That's
could
right.
have sat there in victimhood and said, "Oh my God, what was me? I don't speak Spanish and my life is falling apart and I can't move and
Mm.
I can't, I'm so far away from my family and loved ones and support and yeah, oh, life is over kind of concept, which would have been me 15, 20 years ago, right? The more I expand within,
Mhm.
the further away from that I've gotten. And this is how as a servant leader, that's where I come from now. So, because of the experience, though, it had me reflect on okay, my first and foremost, from a nursing perspective, was anti inflaming the inflammation in my hips and my back so I could at least sit up and I can at
Mm.
least walk, or attempt to walk. They didn't know what to do with me because my from the left fracture and surgery, it has pins in there. So I feel like the bionic woman who's still trying to figure out where the switches are, but
Right.
um, they want you out of bed walking. But yet my right pelvis was fractured, and the therapy for that is to like lay down and heal for months.
Mhm.
So it was like my brain was going, which way do I go? Which way do I go? And it was so painful. And I just kept breathing through it and affirming that, I'm brought to this for a reason.
Mm.
What is the reason for this? Where's the silver lining in this? And what's going to become of that? And it was interesting because I was bored and I didn't speak Spanish. 3 days after being there, I was giving a master class, and everybody was like, "You're not going to do this master class, are you?" And I went, "Absolutely. I have 58 souls who are counting on me, and I'm going to show up
Right.
IV from my hospital bed." And I rocked out on it, but I have to tell you, because I'm so passionate about what I do, and this goes for anybody, I didn't think about the pain. What you focus on expands. I focused on what was in front of me, what I loved doing, delivered what I delivered. I had closed the door and basically told them, "Don't come in, the IVs are
Right.
working, you don't need to check me." And it was a beautiful experience for me. And then as a result of that, I started looking like, what else is possible? Like, what can I build with this? And it was like a download, and it just came to me. And then the Ignite series publisher, JB Owens, who I had already done Ignite the Entrepreneur with book series, it came to me and she said, "Karen, like, this experience, I've been following you on social media, and like I don't know how you're doing that." I'm like, attitude is
Mhm.
everything. She says, I want you in my book, Ignite Your Faith. And I said, okay, I got that one covered. And when you do a collaborative book, it's 7 pages.
Mm.
I mean, your body is always talking. If we don't listen, it knocks louder. If we don't listen, it knocks louder. If we don't listen, you've got your heart attack, your blood pressure, you've got stress, you've got cancer, you got dis-ease. So what you're
This.
thinking about and what you're talking about is going to create reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to emote it. Everything is energy. I needed to emote because I hadn't really cried. The only time I cried while I was down there wasn't for myself. It was for my horse who had died while I was there in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was pouring my heart into the loss of my horse and me not being there to be with him in his last days, I was actually emoting for myself as well. So when JB asked me to write the book, the chapter in the book, I wrote 14 pages.
Oh, wow. Normally when you write a collaborative effort project, it's about like 2,500 words.
That's it.
So you don't went off. You wrote a whole book. That is not a
I just
collaborative. That's a whole
regurgitated.
book.
I regurgitated on the paper. And she came back and she laughed and she said, Karen, I know 2,500 words. So that's it. And I said, I know, but I just needed to get it out. Now I'm ready to work on it. And I'm not attached to what I'm saying or how it comes out. I'm attached to making a difference in the world. What is that going to
Right.
look like? So it was a beautiful journey. And I'm
Mhm.
so grateful for the experience.
That's fun. That's fun. So what happened with the other 13 pages, since really it was only probably one page that got put into?
Well, it was 7 pages that got into it. The other sitting there for, one of the things I do in business is I've learned to repurpose everything. When I look in, I had this wonderful coach out of Tampa who basically took everything out of coach from the Bible in Genesis, right? It got to a point where I started looking at life differently, because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I started looking at that and I said, what can I learn? What can I build from this? So it's sitting there in my files. I will probably look at it differently at a future date. But right now, I'm not being called to go back to that. I'm being called to build on what is and move forward from there. Thus, living an anti-inflammatory lifestyle was born. And now I'm creating an online program for that. I do a lot of one-to-one coaching with that. I have group mentorships. I have mastermind I lead. And it's really getting people out of their own head, out of their own way. If I can do it as a little meek mouse less than 15 years ago, who wouldn't even look anybody in the eye, let alone be on something, here on Kim's show, there's no way I would have, it's a constant evolution. And when you're
That's good.
wise,
I'm glad you said a constant evolution, because what advice would you give people that are really, they're in their comfort zone and they're nervous about stepping out? Like you said, you were very shy, would have never
yeah,
done this before, but now look at you. You're an author, collaborative author, 4-time best-selling author. What advice would you give people to step out of their comfort zones and use their gifts and talents?
trust you. Trust you. You all have it within. The fear comes from something, and it's fear. It's fear driven, why we don't step out. But
Okay.
what happens if you just stick a little toe out there in the water? Right? You could
Yes.
always go back into your shell, but you might find like, wow, it's sort of cool on the other side and
That's
what's
right.
possible. And I just kept looking at what's possible. And I remember, and this might support your listeners as well, my daughter, who was in her 20s at the time, I was doing 6 hours of carpooling back then. So I was always looking for audios. And
Mhm.
that's where I really started. I started taking anything and everything. I became like, I couldn't get enough information. It was like
Mm.
information overload. I studied neuroscience, quantum physics, and in between 6 hours of carpooling, I was listening to audiobooks of mentors and people that inspired me. And my daughter said, I was down a book and she said to me, wow, I read this great book from Oprah called The Year of Yes. And I'm like, I don't know if that's it. And I said, something was calling me to it. And Oprah had gone through a year of yes when she had gone through her traumatic incident in her life. And it was just stepping out of my comfort zone and saying yes to everything. And it was uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. But
So saying yes, even if you know you typically your old self would have said no,
oh
but
God, I would
because
have
you're trying to do something different. And then
exactly.
insanity, we know, is the definition is if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, but you expect a different outcome. The outcome's going to be the same
Exactly.
unless we make some conscious, intentional changes, right?
Exactly. And that's what it was for me. And, there were times when I would say yes and I would jump out at it and then it would be like I would retract. But the more I stepped out and the more I became a yes, the more I started living life
Hmm.
and experiencing life and experiencing people differently. And everybody wasn't against me, and I get that not everybody's going to love me today. Not everybody's going to resonate with me today. And that's okay because it's life. And I love who I've become in the process. But if I wouldn't have known who Karen was, had I not looked at it and stepped out at all. And now it's like life is exciting and I'm meeting the most amazing people and I travel and I get to present and I get to serve. And it's just, it fills my heart. It fills my soul.
And things that you would have not experienced if you just stayed
Never.
in a recluse,
I hermit
reserved
really
space.
well
So now you're able to step out and experience some new things in life that were really meant for you to experience all along.
all along, all along.
Hey, listen, everybody, we're talking today with Karen Rudolf, and we're excited about her being here today to talk to us about just holistic living. And so she's with Tranquil SOULutions, and here's how you can stay connected with her. Let people know how they can stay connected with you early on.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free, if you go to my website, www.Tranquil SOULutions, I have a present there waiting for you. And
I just got mine, by the way. It's an ebook, a really nice ebook, everybody.
I tend to overdo it at times, and I get we're busy lives, but I'm very much into reflection. If you don't take the time to reflect and get to know who you are, to thine own self be true,
To that
yeah,
own self, right?
to your own self be true, you've got to love yourself first before you can love others. And if you look in terms of energy, and everything is energy, it's always in flux, there is no balance. We look to balance to get to harmony. We're harmonizing our life. So that ebook will support you in harmonizing the life so you can live a fulfilled, joyous
So
life.
when we come back, we're going to take a commercial break. I would love for you, please, at least for me, to break down what this energy theory is, because I believe in the word of God, right? So I believe in the Bible. If it's in the Bible, then I want to apply it to my life because that's my personal blueprint, so that I can know that this is what I can look at. I can look at this is going to be the outcome if I do this. So when I hear energy, I would love for those that are in my own situation to better understand it. And someone like yourself, probably. That's why it's so good to provide different types of people and perspectives
Mhm.
on the show, is because it gives people a chance to connect differently with other people, because we don't all share the same beliefs.
Mhm.
And so I would love to be able to just hear more about energy when we come back right after this commercial break. Is that okay, Karen?
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here today. So
Thank you.
let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back, everyone, right after this break. All right, everyone, we're back and we're talking with Karen Rudolf today with Tranquil SOULutions. SOULutions. You got to make sure you understand, if you're a audio podcast listener, that it's SOULutions. Okay, so Tranquil SOULutions is the website, tranquilsolutions.com. All right. So talk to us about some energy, because I like to hear them. I'm going to lean in on this. Go ahead.
Well, just to make it clear, I do believe in God, and I believe I am driven and moved by God. Coming from a science background, I mix spirituality with science. So it's not that we're that far off. Perceptions might just be different, right? So if we look at science and we look at energy, right, we don't necessarily see God, but we know he's there. He or she, whatever your preference is. And if you look at it, we're made in the image and likeness of God, right? That's biblical. So if that be my truth, doesn't have to be everybody's truth, but if that be my truth, which it is, then my God bumps again. So I know
Get
I'm
those goosebumps over there.
I always know I'm speaking from intuition, and I'm
Right.
speaking and I'm being guided and guarded. So that's my truth. And everybody has a different truth, and it doesn't mean it's right, wrong, or different. We just perceive it differently. So in my perception, when I speak about energy from a scientific consciousness, let's say, right, God is in us, he's around us, he's through us. That's energy. That's the definition of energy. We can't recreate it. We can't change it, right? It can be, our thoughts can be reshaped, but it doesn't mean that the basis isn't there. Okay. So when I say everything is energy, right, I'm talking in terms specifically from a holistic, and I say W because we're all unique individuals. If you look at holistic is body, physical, everything is attached. Everything is connected. In the universe, everything is connected. You and I are connected. We're just connected differently.
And I'm so grateful we are.
I am too. Soul sisters from a different mother. I believe we're connected, right? We're the oneness in life. So if we're made into that, if we're made, I'm only getting it today. If we're made of that oneness and we're connected, then I'm not going to sit here and judge you or make you bad wrong. I'm going to love you. I'm going to, because it's always bringing people back to love. That's the energy I'm talking about. So if I'm talking holistic and it's all interconnected and intertwined, what does that look like? We're talking frequency and vibration. So vibrationally and frequency, I mean, we're here on the internet connected through a frequency and a vibration. We're connected, right? Where there is no separation. Our beliefs might separate us, but it doesn't mean that it's bad, wrong. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. It's just they're different, right? We were raised differently. We have different, I was raised and I believed I was stupid for years, right? The frequency in which I told myself that is going to manifest over and over and over again, which creates that cycle of insanity that we were talking about, because my brain has 3 lobes, and my brain is going to look for evidence from my experiences to tell me that's the truth.
Wow.
Right?
That's really important, because even growing up, our childhood beliefs help shape who we ultimately can become. Like, I know I grew up in the inner city, and I grew up in a housing project that the locals called the bottom. So everybody in the Newport News and surrounding area of Virginia knew that that particular neighborhood that I lived in was called the bottom. And not only was the neighborhood called the bottom, the grocery stores that were in my surrounding area were called below, B-E-L-O. So it wasn't Bilo. A lot of times people now say, oh, you must mean Bilo. No, I'm saying B-E-L-O, below. That's what it was. And so that kind of mental conditioning to make you believe that you're below, you live at the bottom. So what can possibly happen with your life? But my mom made me believe that no matter where I lived, no matter what my circumstances were, I could be anything I chose to become.
Love
But
it.
that mental conditioning does make a difference,
Yeah.
especially when on the opposite side of town, there are places called Farm Fresh, Giant Eagle. Like,
Mm,
what? Why would I shop at Below and you can shop over there at Giant Eagle
right.
and Farm Fresh? That kind of stuff can really get under your skin if you're thinking about it, you know?
Absolutely. And that's where I love the word believe or believe. The lie, Lie, lives within the word. So, what am I choosing to experience and create in my life is going to be manifested from looking at the frequency and vibration energy, which is energy, right? Of how I'm speaking it. So, my chapter in this last book, Healthopedia, was all about words as medicine. Right? Had I been telling myself a lie in Costa Rica that I'm going to listen to what everybody was saying, the prognosis was
Hmm.
not good, it would have turned out not good.
That's
Just
right.
like,
It could have been your last experience over there in Costa Rica with nobody around you that you were familiar with, but you
exact
chose to believe
choice.
that you were going to come back home
Absolutely. I saw
in
myself.
case you're here today.
I envisioned it. I affirmed it. I spoke into it, into existence, that I was just not committed to hearing there was any other way. Here I am a year and a half later. I'm walking on both legs. I had a hip replacement in my right one, which was initially supposed to happen when I came back from Costa Rica. So I just had that done in August. I'm walking. I'm not running races, but I'm walking very steadily now against
Mhm.
all odds. So who says? Who's going to predict my future? This is my life, right? And
You were in charge technically of your own destiny and
absolutely,
took that seriously and literally, correct?
absolutely. I prayed on it every single day, right? So praying is energy, right? So we constantly, the more we pray, right? Pray without ceasing, right? So I use that frequency of prayer, the vibration of my prayer to be heard and seen out there in the universe. So just a
Hmm.
different perspective.
Well, I am so proud of you. And now, when you talk about anti inflammatory, and I know that you are specializing in holistic approaches, talk to us from that perspective a little bit.
Right. So again, I had come from a nursing background, and when that didn't feed my soul, it's like, what's next? So when we sit and wonder and childlike curiosity, it'll always come, right? So as a byproduct of Costa Rica, as I said, it was like, man, I am not going to listen to this conversation. I want to live a lifestyle that I can really still rock out and be with. And what does that look like? Well, first I have to maintain get the inflammation down, the immediate inflammation, which was in my hips, so I could walk, right?
Mm.
So
Hmm.
once I started looking at that, it was like, oh my God, it was like $35,000 before I could even leave the hospital, and they're there every 3 days with their hands out going cash. And I'm like, most people don't have $35,000 on hand. What is this going to look like? You get resourceful. So instead of going to a pity party, it was like, okay, so now because I've trained my brain, and this is part of what I do in the
Uh-huh.
anti-inflammatory lifestyle, it's creating new habits and new thought patterns. So it's like I had a client this morning who's a computer guy speaking his language. It's like, okay, what would you tell me to do when my computer's backed up and it's not running properly? What's the first thing
Right.
you would tell me? He says, I would tell you to reboot. Same thing
Mm.
with your brain. Think of it as a computer. So this old patterning of not enough and stupid or whatever we're telling ourselves, right? We have to stop that program and
Mhm.
reinstall a new program. Is it easy? No, it's like going to the gym and practicing every day. Excuse me. So I committed. I've got the tools. I'm doing it for everybody else. I'm going to do it for me for a change. So I
Right.
put, loving myself first, right? Putting on my oxygen mask first so
Mm.
I can give it back. So part of what I do is not just holistic in body, right? In well-being, body physically. It's the
Mhm.
mental and the emotional as well. The stories we tell ourselves. Then I looked at my financial. I just put out 35 grand This, oh,
Okay, that right there, I was trying to wait until you completely finish your statement before I go back and ask if you if you didn't have 35,000. Thank God you did, right? But if you did not have that, I wonder what could have possibly been the outcome. Do you just get kicked out of the hospital?
yeah, I asked them that. I asked that. It was a question.
What
When
was
he
the
came in,
answer?
I said to him, "Okay, you're asking me now." Like they asked me for 5,000 the day before, and then 2 days later they're back and they're asking for 7,000 this day. And I'm like, "Okay, what happens if I didn't have the $7,000? I'm going to need to figure out how I'm going to get it because I didn't have that ready
I
cash."
got to put my glasses on sideways for this. What was the answer?
So the answer was, "No problem. We have a cab waiting downstairs, and we'll take you to the public hospital, and you won't get the same." And I was told that when I first was given the choice, like which hospital you want to go to. I was told
Woo!
in Costa Rica, the care in the public hospital, I might get my surgery within 3 days. If I went to the public hospital, they would charge for it, but I would get immediately taken care of. Take me to the private hospital, This
Of
is
course. I
where,
mean, you wouldn't choose
my
the
work.
private hospital, but if you don't have $35,000, then you might have to get Ubered or whatever over to the public hospital
And get
and
charged for
get
it.
longer distance care or whatever. That is bizarre.
I was very blessed with the people in my life because I stepped out of my comfort zone. I've met people globally. People have
Hmm.
been following my story,
Well,
right?
you know what that also kind of confirms, and I know we're just having a conversation here, so I don't have any
That's fine.
scripted questions or anything. But what that also confirms to me is that many people don't know your situation or your circumstances unless you open up your mouth and ask. So
Absolutely.
asking in your case proved to be very important.
Right. So what I did was I shared. Before I asked, I shared. And I wasn't sharing with the thought in mind at the time. I was just bored because I'm in a place with no one to talk to. And I was
Right.
sharing my experiences. And one of my experiences, I remember it was so vivid for me. It was, I had to go to the bathroom and I was in a diaper, which is in and of itself like very, I'm a woman, and I had
Of
guys,
course.
orderlies and whatnot coming to change my diaper because I couldn't move from side to side, right? I had this major surgery, and I'm looking to the side of the bathroom toilet, and I'm like, if I can walk there, it's just like 3 steps. I can and I couldn't. And it was just like it was so close and yet so far. So I took a picture of the toilet and I put it on Facebook or whatever, like, oh, it's so close and so far. So people were following me and I was being authentically real. I wasn't asking for anything. And my girlfriend, God bless her, I met her in South Africa when I was doing, because I'm part of a creativity community there, and well, global creativity community, and presented in South Africa where I met her and we became fast friends. She's like a sister to me. She immediately put together a GoFundMe campaign. And it was like the skies opened up and thank you, God, thank you, universe, whatever you want to call it. It was like people poured into me. So I didn't have to ask. And I was so
Hmm.
blessed. So I count my
Thank
blessings.
you, Lord. Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I live in gratitude, and that
Mm.
is one of the underlying things that I share with everybody. Everybody, if nothing else, find one thing a day that you're grateful for, because just by that simple task, you're gonna look at things differently, and when you think your life is falling apart, you'll look at somebody without legs or whatever. Thank you, thank you. It could be so
Yes.
much worse. There's always something to be grateful for.
And I want to ask you all too in the studio audience today, what are you grateful for in life? And make sure you put some comments and share what it is that you can pinpoint that you're grateful for. Not everything that's going wrong, but what are you thankful and grateful for today and just overall in general? So,
Absolutely.
actually, some breaking news came out while we've been on this broadcast, and it says that it's interesting because I was wondering, I was like, this is crazy. But they said worldwide, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Threads are down in widespread outage. That's concerning, right? Because I know for me, I mean, it's in you. I know having you come on, right? And I was like thinking, this is major stress because immediately when we're talking and everything,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, no, just go to my personal Facebook page and just share. When you see us go live, just share. Don't worry about connecting it backstage. I'm thinking I'm easing the stress. Come to find out, it was this kind of stuff can immediately put some stressors and triggers in your life. Let's
Exactly.
just talk about that for a second. Any
Part of
thoughts on things that you think, oh, I got this. It's under control. I'm in control. And then something like a
part of
worldwide outage happens.
it, part of being tranquil, I teach people how to stay in their peaceful space, in their tranquil space. So again, it's a training. You train it like anything else. So when we stress like something like this, we have no control over that.
Mhm.
Stress and anxiety is attempting to control a future that we have no control over. Depression is hanging on to the past that we have no control over. All we have is this present moment. So
Mm.
if I look at it energy, if I look at it in terms of what I have control over right here, right now, you know, things happen for a reason or a season. I'm not worrying about it because it's in all in perfect order.
That's good. Very good. And I agree with you. The things that are beyond our control, the weather, the time, and
Yeah,
worldwide outages, war, some things we're not personally in control
yeah,
of. But at the end of the day, the things that we can control, like our response to situations,
yeah.
our attitude, being grateful for a given day, choosing happiness versus sadness, if we can, these are some things that we can stay in somewhat control of, you know?
Absolutely. It's being responsible, like you just said, responding rather than reacting. The reaction is going to cause the stress. And then it triggers your stress hormones in your body, which is raising your blood pressure and all that, and the hormones and all that, which isn't serving you in any way, shape, or form. So when I respond, being responsible for my well-being, I get to choose what that looks like. And I
Yeah,
have to remind myself constantly. So, well, I say constantly, but I've trained myself because I've created new habits to do that. And
right.
that's where I share the tools and strategies with clients. I was working with a client who's with me now his fourth time back with me. I was always putting it back there, saying, "Oh, women, I work with women," and men show up, and I'm like, now it's like everybody stresses, everybody has their challenges, and we gave him a new identity. We created a new identity for him to stand terra firma in. So now all I have to do is say, I know you're the champion warrior. And all of a sudden he lights up and he's like, yeah. And his decisions are from that space of champion warrior. He went from being a follower to being a leader who's now making more money in his business as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur because he had the tools to do that. And now he's being fed both spiritually, mentally, physically, and
Yeah.
environmentally to shift that energy into well-being, peace, and joy. And he's very grateful. And as a result of that, I got to serve him. He serves me. So it's like a win-win for everybody. And I just adore him anyway. But that's you gotta love
That's awesome.
it. You get to know him very well.
That's a good thing. So, yeah, so when you adore someone, it makes it a little bit easier, right?
Yeah. 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 I mean, people, I've got clients that resist all the time. What you resist persists. If you truly want change, then you're going to go through the uncomfortable. You have to go through the uncomfortable to
Mhm.
get to the other side. It's not a straight path. It could be a rocky road. And just knowing ahead of time that it could be rocky and how are you going to choose to respond to that isn't always easy. But then I look at it this way. I use a lot of metaphors and a lot of analogies, and the one I use most often is driving a car. The first time you drove a car, was it easy? Heck no. You're nervous as all heck. You got the
Right.
motor vehicle person next to you, and even though you've gone out like 2, 3, 4 times, maybe you got a little practice, but it's like, what do I do first? Do I do the steer? My seatbelt? Do I do this? What do I do first? Now you get in a car and you just do it automatically. So I
Definitely.
shift into that new programming with my clients so that they get to that new programming. So they're standing terra firma in what they've learned. And now they have tools and strategies to use it to create less stress in life.
Wow. This is good. So people have sessions with you and they get a lot of understanding of how they can reprogram their thought process so that they can have better wholeness and wellness in their body and
In life,
anti so this
in
is really
life.
good.
Yeah, it's not just in their body, right? Your body is just one vehicle, right?
Right.
You're still driving the mind, you're still driving the the spiritual context or your godly context, whatever you're going to frame it as. You're still driving. It's all intertwined. You
Yeah.
can't finances. If your finances are out of order, you're not being resourceful. You're not thinking in a different when you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things change. So when you start looking at it differently, it's going to
Yeah.
show up differently. You're going to become more resourceful because now you're shining a light on it, right? So what I do is I'm the light shiner. I'm your journey guide. I don't do it for you unless you're going to pay me to do it for you. But
You're like, I could become you if you want to take me on as your coach.
but I guide you through it. So I like to say I'm your journey guide and I'm the wind beneath your wings. So this way I give you the tools to have you rise into your greatness because you're
That
your
is
own.
so beautifully said. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
All
you.
right, before I'm not going to take a formal commercial, but I am just going to acknowledge right now one of my sons, well, actually, I have three children, which is extremely rare for African American families. So, three children that battle and fight cystic fibrosis, which is a lung disease
Mhm,
that kind of builds up mucus in the lining of the lungs.
mhm.
And most people that have cystic fibrosis end up having some type of lung transplant type of thing. Well, first of all, I rebuke that. I rebuke that from having to happen in my children. And one of my sons, he is an ambassador for Boomer Esiason Foundation, and he went on a personal weight loss journey. Ivan Jacobs, which
Ivan, yes, I
that's my
got
son. He was at
Ivan.
the conference.
He was amazing. Oh my God. I love him. Both these sons
So,
were there, right?
right, you saw him at the conference, so he spoke there.
He did. He was amazing, and he was so from the heart. And just hearing his story and seeing how he shifted it, and there you go again, energy, right? Frequency and vibration. He shifted his well-being. We as parents, I have three children as well. Well, adult children, excuse me, they're grown.
Right,
Um,
right. See.
you hold the space in the thought of what your vision is for your children. He's the one that created his reality.
Yes, he did. And him and his brother traveled to Florida by themselves. This was the first time that they've ever gone on a trip without the family. It was a big deal.
Oh, they were awesome.
So anyway, he lost over 100 pounds on his own personal weight loss journey, and just strictly through eating differently and exercising. And he's one of the authors in this same book that
Mhm.
Karen Rudolf is a part of.
Yeah.
And I think he's the youngest author, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes, he is.
And so Ivan Jacobs, and I wanted to just let you all know that he is raising $4,000 for the Boomer Esiason Foundation. And let's see, I want to pop that up. Ivan Jacobs is raising $4,000 to help find a cure for cystic fibrosis. The funds go directly to the Boomer Esiason Foundation. So
Mhm.
please make sure you donate, and any amount is very helpful. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I don't have that much to donate. Or you may say, girl, I got that. I'm going to send that today. And he's done with his campaign. I'm sending the $4,000 and he's good to go. So whatever works for your budget, please just make sure you all support, and it'll get credited towards his name as the ambassador that provided those, but it will go directly to Boomer Esiason Foundation. And I wanted to share his heart with you all because I can summarize it as best I can, but here's a quick video from him.
Hey, my name is Ivan, and I live with cystic fibrosis. I was diagnosed at 17 years old, and I had a hard time accepting the fact that this was my new normal. In a split second, I had pills I needed to take, treatments I had to do, and statistics that weren't favorable. So I decided to take CF head on. I became an ambassador and advocated for the disease. I took my treatments regularly, and I try to be an inspiration for my siblings. If you also live with cystic fibrosis, I know it can be hard, but what you're doing is also inspiring other people. I'd love to hear about some of your personal victories. Please share them below this video.
Amazing shift of energy. I love it.
Yeah, so that's my son, Ivan Jacobs. And so please make sure you all donate to the cause. All right. So Karen, we've talked about holistic, anti-inflammatory. We've talked some about your backstory with your mom, the lightning strike with the horse, and how all of that made you really become who you are today.
Absolutely.
And being able to step out of your comfort zone. You say, change your thinking, change your life. That's a quote that I have from one of your comments. Talk to us about that.
Actually, that was a download. I was in the redwood forest when that came to me because I am intuitive. I listen, right? You're always being spoken to. If you listen and believe in what you're hearing, it's like your GPS. It's my GPS system. I believe it to be mine. Could be yours. Got to listen, right? And then choose. I was in the redwood forest, and that came to me. I was doing a heart math program there. I'm a licensed certified heart math provider, which is part of stress relief, right? And getting yourself out of ways of breathing and getting yourself out of the stress responders. And again, when I get back to energy, I always come back to energy, frequency, and vibration. That's if you want to change. What was it? If you want to change your reality in the universe, Tesla said that it's the frequency and vibration. Energy is frequency and vibration. So it's like the more I keep telling myself this story, the more Ivan he refused to believe that story. He changed the frequency and the vibration as what he was talking about. And now look at as a result, right? Cause and effect. There's always going to be an opposite equal reaction. So, we all have opposite equals going on consistently in our life. We're just not tuning into it. And when you tune and focus in, what you focus on expands. So if you put that flashlight on to something that's good, start small, something on your life, and start looking at it and saying, well, this really isn't serving me. What else can I do? With childlike wonder, your brain is going to start looking for ways and means of looking for that positive aspect and reflecting on that, as opposed to, oh, I'm so stupid. And I'm focusing on stupid, and what kept showing up was not enough. And what showed as a result of that was, I don't know. So
yeah, I'm more than enough. What God gave me, I'm equipped with what I need to be able to serve the community,
Amen.
serve the world. Yeah, and I did find that quote from Nikola Tesla is what you were saying.
Tesla, yes, thank you.
Yeah, if you want to find the secrets,
That's it, the secrets of the universe.
Man's quote. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, is what he said.
Yeah.
And
I live by that.
And that's what you live by. And that's good. That's good to know. Whatever floats your boat, you have to just believe with your whole heart. That's what I believe. I believe like we all have a right to hang our souls and our hats on whatever we think is going to be our higher being, higher power. Right. So for me, nobody can convince me to not be sold out for Christ, because of the fact that I believe in heaven. I believe that I'll reunite with my son again, Gabe, in heaven. So I believe he's one of my cloud of witnesses. And there are specific things that happen on the death date of his anniversary death date every year. I have I can't make this stuff up. It's not, I don't know what makes it happen, but I know one thing. It cannot just happen by itself. And I'll give you just one example. 1 year after my son transitioned from this earth, my other sons went out to play a game of basketball in honor of him. They hadn't played basketball the entire year because Part of what happened was on the basketball court that we had just had installed in our home. And I'm not going to go too far because I'm just going to keep it high level here. So they go out and they play this game of basketball to commemorate Gabe.
Right.
Above our tree line, Karen, viewers, listeners, okay, above our tree line, there is this smiley face. I'm going to put the picture up. Smiley face
Mhm.
rainbow. This
I
is a
love
real
it.
picture in our backyard.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I love that.
This, and there's another picture which I have no idea where it is, but it has the eyes and the nose. It is a smiley face rainbow.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. I never heard of this. I never
Yeah.
saw this. I never knew a smiley face rainbow could even exist.
Right.
This was on the exact day that he passed the year before, at the exact same time of his death.
It's
Oh, well, not the death, but of the time that he was there in the yard dealing with this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone at that.
love that. I love that because when my mom passed, a rainbow was there and I took a picture of it, but it wasn't a smiley face. It was just a rainbow that was right over her house.
Mm.
So when I talk in terms of frequency and vibration, as I said, I'm not saying I'm anti God. I'm not by any stretch. I'm not
Oh no,
anti-Christ.
I
I'm not.
understand what you're saying.
What I'm talking about in terms of what I do for a living is really getting people to shift the words and the frequency and whatnot they use. So that's why I'm saying I live by that. That's what supported me getting out of my victim mode. So that's what I mean by when I live by that. What I also want to add to that is things come to us, right? And you can't make it up, right? When you listen and you attune your well-being, you attune your life to what's around you. For me, nature speaks to me. Everybody, it's different, right? I'm attuned with nature. So when I get in nature, I hear, I listen, I see, and there are messages for me there.
Mm.
So when I'm attuned to it, I hear the messages. You heard the message of your son, right? I heard the message. As soon as I saw that, I thought of mom. You know, it's like they're always there for us to listen. You ask for a sign when you pray, it's there. You just have to be attuned to getting the message. It's I remember hearing something once, and I don't know, Kim, if you heard this one or not. So, and I don't want to butcher it, but it's a story of God, I prayed like, there's a flood and I went to the top of the roof and I prayed and you never came to save me and my house was floating away and all of a sudden it was like a rowboat went by, but I was waiting for you to and then a helicopter and I waited for you, but you never came. And when you get to the pearly gates, God said, well, I sent you the helicopter, I sent you the boat, but you weren't listening.
I sent you plenty of options for you to get out, to save yourself.
Right?
Wow, that's such a great parable, is what it is.
Exactly. Being present, living life in the present moment. It's all you have here and now. Listen, because you're being taught, you're being spoken to, people around you. You might be asking for a sign or it doesn't have to be like a billboard. Maybe
Right.
it's just a conversation you're hearing here today. Maybe this is the message you were meant to hear.
That's right. I see you, Dennis, saying much love to you. And I know you're normally over on Facebook, so that's good that you made it happen to get over here on the YouTube channel. All right. And all of you that have been tuning in and putting some emojis and things, I see you all popping in and sharing your thoughts. And I know many of you will be watching this on a replay as well. So make sure Karen will probably get a chance to go and see some of your comments. So thank you all so much for being here today. Let me also pop up your books. I want to make sure Healthopedia, you definitely want to get a copy of this. It's almost like an encyclopedia for health fanatics. Even if you're not a health fanatic, but you want to learn more about how to become healthier, you can get a copy of Healthopedia from Karen Rudolf, as well as some of her other books, Create a Ripple and Wickedly Smart Women. Then also Ignite Your Faith. So these are some of the books that you can gain access to by visiting. Where can they get these books?
Well, they're all on Amazon for starters. Amazon just put the titles in. You can go to my website, www.tranquilsolutions.com, and there's a link there as well. Healthopedia is the holistic version of the physician's desk reference. So you have the Western and you now have the Eastern medicine to look from. See, choice. Always allow yourself choice.
I love that. So you all definitely grab a copy of Healthopedia. You will be pleasantly pleased with all of the juicy content that's in there to make your life just a little bit better. There's going to be some nuggets in there that you can immediately apply. You don't have to wait till next month or next week. You can take some of these tips and apply it right away to your life. And I've put the contact information for Karen Rudolf in the comment section as well. And I do want to also acknowledge my daughter just celebrated her 16th birthday this past weekend. This is some of her younger pictures, but she turned 16, and sweet 16 is a big deal, right? And one of the things that she really enjoys doing is doing animations on her YouTube channel. So she draws, like, that's just a blank screen normally. So that image right there is something she personally drew from scratch. And then she puts motion to it. And as you heard me talk about Ivan earlier, she also battles the cystic fibrosis, the lung thing, and used to have to be in the hospital all the time, missing like a month of school and stuff like that. But now for the past few years, guess what? She hasn't had been in the hospital, and she's such a low maintenance girl, very low maintenance. And so the thing that I put in the comment section is a request. If you all could just go over and subscribe to her YouTube channel for her 16th birthday. She doesn't know I'm saying this unless she sees it. Okay. But her YouTube channel is right there. Lemniskate 1502, Lemniskate 1502. That's LEMNISCATE 1502. Go subscribe to her channel, and don't say Kim Jacobs, her mama from the YouTube, from the Kim Jacobs show sent you. Just be a follower, okay? She'll be like, Mom, all of these adults are fun. Yeah. All right. Any closing comment, Karen?
Yes. Be true to yourself. Get to know you. Stress kills. It's a #1 killer in the United States. The more you know you, the more you know your choices, the more the more expansive you become, and then you get to choose what your life is going to look like. You don't have anybody else dictate but you.
That's good. You have shared some really wonderful pearls of wisdom today. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here with us.
I'm grateful as well to be here with you and your audience. Feel free to reach out at any time. I answer questions. Anything that gets posted on Facebook, you're hearing me. It's not my VA. It's not anybody else answering. That's always me. So, I'm always available. I make myself available to my peeps, now your peeps, because we're all connected.
And I didn't even realize you have a dimple over there. That just really drew me in even more. I'm like, hey, I see a dimple.
I hear about my dimples all the time. Yes.
Well, so that's a good thing. Then hopefully you smiled from your soul today.
I definitely smile from my soul all the time because I live with SOULutions.
So you all, please make sure, let's put your contact information one more time. Stay connected with Karen Rudolf, and you can email her. She'll respond directly at Karen@TranquilSOULutions.com. And you can also visit TranquilSOULutions.com to get your copy of a beautiful ebook. You can definitely go and put your contact information in there. It will immediately be sent to you as a download. And it's a book, really. I just looked at it like, this is a whole book. And it's going over some pretty profound things that you don't want to miss the opportunity of having in your library, because she's talking about mental, physical, emotional well-being, all kind of categories of well-being, but she breaks it down at a very detailed level. So you don't want to miss getting your copy of that right at TranquilSOULutions.com. And if any episode of the Kim Jacobs Show has been a blessing to your household and help bring any level of balance, make sure you all donate to the show. It's just like any other public broadcasting situation. It's driven by community members. So even though we come on Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m., The only way we thrive or survive around here is if you contribute to the broadcast. So make sure you send a Cash App, Kim Jacobs Inc., or you can do paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. or Venmo or whatever way works for you. Just support the broadcast, and we appreciate all that already do. All right. All right. I think we've covered everything, Karen. You are an amazing guest.
Thank you.
I'm disappointed that the whole worldwide shutdown happened today. But guess what? I kept my wits about me and my spirit high, and you did too.
Absolutely.
Because of the tips that you shared today, right?
Thank you. It's all perfect. It's all in perfect order. And I'm so grateful. And the fact that I got to meet an extension, two extensions of you in Boca was just absolutely such an honor and privilege. They're just wonderful. You've done an amazing job with them both. Very humbled.
Thank you so much. And now that you said, I should put up all of my children because I only focused on a few, but these are my 5 children.
Oh,
the
God
one in the back
bless.
in the black shirt just graduated from Chapel Hill. And then Ivan, you met him. He's one of the authors in Healthopedia. Jeremiah traveled with Ivan. But Jeremiah also battles cystic fibrosis. So being an African-American family, there are only I think 17,000 people that even have cystic fibrosis that are African-American. That's unheard of in the African-American community.
Wow.
So none of my children were diagnosed at birth because it wasn't even something. Most people were Caucasian males that have cystic fibrosis. So they never even thought to diagnose my children or even check them for it,
Wow. Well, I would definitely keep them in my thoughts and prayers, as I will you and yours as well. Beautiful.
Thank you. And they're warriors, so they're no sad story. They helped raise $2.2 million with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation last year. So they are out here being ambassadors and helping make a difference.
Which I really, really, really love. And I would love to contribute. So my question to you is, I was actually going to contribute towards Ivan's program. If you prefer, I can split it and do both, or you tell me how you want me to rock out with that.
We'll talk backstage. We'll talk backstage. But your support is awesome in whatever you support. So we appreciate it. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So thank you to Karen Rudolf for being a contributor to Boomer Esiason Foundation and anything else that she's supporting as well. So that's a quick shout out, but we'll be shouting her out some more on a future broadcast. All right, everybody, have a great day. I absolutely love you all, and I'm honored to serve you as the Balance Doctor. God bless you. God bless you, Karen.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right. We're going to end the broadcast. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m.